All right, what's going on everyone? SAMIR CHIBANE here, founder of the eCom Incubator, where we build brands, not just e-commerce stores, okay? And in this video, we're gonna go ahead and cover 7 branding tips for 2020. And so to kick this thing off, I wanna share a quick story with you guys. I actually had to get up real early this morning to go to court, okay? Now, before you start crying and getting all worried because your boy's gonna be locked up in jail and I can't post YouTube content, it was just for a speeding ticket. And without getting too into it, okay, I had to go to court the first time where it was just like a regular hearing, and now this morning I had to show up in court in front of an actual judge. And so I was definitely a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, because it was gonna be like a $580 ticket, and on top of that, more importantly, I was gonna get a point on, or a couple points maybe, on my insurance. And obviously that's gonna result to way more cash out of pocket in the long term. So I showed up, and luckily there was no cop there, okay? I'm not sure about where you live, but the cop didn't show up for the hearings, therefore I won automatically. But just to share the lesson from this is, well, I showed up, okay? So I showed up, and by default I won. And quite honestly, when it comes to success and business in general, especially when you're competing in a marketplace, the easiest way to win is by showing up, okay? So while your competitors are sleeping, while you're trying to build your brand, you know, day in and day out with the late nights, early mornings, just know that your competitors that are not showing up, you're automatically gonna get ahead of them, okay? And so that's what I pride myself on, is showing up. And I learned this idea of showing up all the way from back when I was doing door-to-door sales, which was as easy as literally just showing up to the homeowner's house, you know, sharing the product, sharing the offer that we got. And a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, like somebody else came by, but they never showed up again to close the deal. And so when it comes to e-commerce, or again, entrepreneurship in general, just remember, the more you show up, the more often that you show up, the more consistently that you show up, the higher your chances are of winning, okay? It just happened to play out in this courtroom hearing for my speeding ticket this week, so yes. And so with that being said, all right, tip number 1 for establishing your brand in 2020 is to really just start off with a background story, okay? In your About Us page, there should be a quick little overall summary of how your brand came about, a little story. And if you ever read the book Story Branding or Brand Story, that is the ideal way for you to build trust and credibility with your customers, is by sharing great stories. So the first thing you want to do before launching any ads or launching any type of blog post or whatever it is, the first thing you want to do is you want to sit down and just describe about how your brand came about, right? What was the experiences that initiated you to, or inspired you to create this brand? Maybe it was the fact that you couldn't find the product in the marketplace. Maybe it was all the other products out there weren't up to par. Maybe, you know, all the other companies out there were giving bad service, and so therefore it inspired you to launch your own brand to, you know, combat those problems. So that's the first thing, just establish a background story. Now, the second thing you want to go ahead and do is be clear on who your target market is, okay? You probably heard the quote that goes something along the lines of, if you try to sell to everyone, then you're gonna end up selling to no one. So to bring it back to my door-to-door sales days, we would be very specific on the houses that we were going to sell to. And it would obviously be the ones that had a lot of sunlight, because we were selling and offering solar panels and solar systems. And so we'd be very clear on the house that we were going after. We would look for homes that, you know, had like 2 floors, meaning it was a family home, and therefore they were obviously using a lot of electricity, and it would incentivize them to go solar and cut their bill, you know, by a specific percent. But we weren't just knocking on every single house. And actually our sales went up when we started choosing our target market, right? Going after specific cities, after specific type of houses that had a specific amount of shade, maybe even houses that had like green and energy efficient cars out there. We would avoid the cars that had all the pickup trucks and the Hummers outside, because that's obviously somebody who doesn't really care about the environment, at least most likely not. And so you want to get very, very clear on who your target market is. And I'm actually going to go ahead and post up a little resource below. Okay, this is a resource that we only offer to our e-commerce accelerator members, and that's going to be a customer profile dimension. Okay, and so just couple questions to help you build a profile on who your ideal customer is. And until you get this cleared, then you won't be able to get this next part very, very down pat and clear as well. And that is going to be your unique selling proposition. Okay, so when we think of a company like Amazon, right, with its Prime membership and next day delivery, that is their unique selling mechanism. It's the idea that they can get you a product to your house as quickly as possible and better and more affordable than anybody else out there. And that is why Amazon is such an absolute animal. So when it comes to establishing your own brand, you want to go ahead and find out, hey, what is one way that we are going to be unique than the competitors, okay? And that could be, when it comes to service, just like, Amazon. It could be to quality when it comes to the type of products. It could be pricing as well. It could be offers, right? It could be really anything that you choose, but you have to find out your unique selling proposition. That's very, very important to stand out from the crowd. Now, the fourth tip that I want to go ahead and share with you is realizing the difference between logical selling and emotional selling. Okay, when it comes to logical selling, it's all about listing out the specific features and the facts about the product or the brand itself, right? Saying, hey, this product weighs this much, it's this color, it's that shape, right? It's gonna come in this container here. You're gonna get, shipping in 2 to 5 days, and our brand is located here, X, Y, and Z, right? But emotional selling is all about how you're going to better the individual's life in an emotional sell, right? Whether it be eliminating fear or adding more reward to their life, right? For example, when it comes to workout products, right? It's not just about the color and the shape and the weight of the product, but we could take a look at the new workout or in-home fitness company. I think it's called like Peloton or something like that, where it's all about working out at home and being efficient and becoming more healthy without having to drive all the way to the gym. So it's like eliminating all the pain of having to go to the gym, but adding in the reward of having like a personal trainer like at your home in a snap of a finger by just pushing a button. And so that's a great company to look at when you're trying to understand the difference between logical selling and emotional selling, right? They could obviously just sell some basic treadmills, but rather they're focusing on having a personal trainer at home at the press of a button. And there's also some stats out there that state that 95% of online purchases are really emotional and irrational based type of purchases, meaning they just happen on the snap of a finger without the customer even really thinking it all the way through. And the reason for that is due to emotional selling, not the logical features and characteristics of the product or the brand itself. Now, the fifth tip is all about pricing, okay? Now, a lot of people who get into the e-commerce space, a lot of e-commerce beginners, are focused on outpricing Amazon. But in reality, pricing is one of the worst forms of competition. And I always repeat this, what you want to be doing is dominating with value. Now, pricing is not the only determining factor when it comes to purchase decisions. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are willing to pay more for an item rather than go somewhere else like Amazon and pay, a lot less for it. And the reason for that is because it's not the only determining factor, like I said, all right? So when you're deciding on how to price your products, understand that you can always charge more as long as you provide value in another way, right? Let's say you create a great inimitable offer that they can't find somewhere else, and even though it's more, right, it's gonna cost them more, they're still gonna get more value in return from you rather than from the competitor. And again, we have a whole week focusing on how to create inimitable offers, so that way you can price your products a lot higher than the competitors and still be able to dominate in the e-commerce accelerator below. Okay, now in the last video, I went ahead and actually released 5 spots in the e-commerce accelerator at a flash sale of 75% off. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again because they flew by last video. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just open up 5 more spots in the e-commerce accelerator in this video, and you can find the link to it right in the description. Again, just like the last time, once those spots are filled up, they are gone, okay? So let's go to the 6th point. All right, just had to switch the memory card there, but the 6th tip that I wanna share with you is all about conscious commerce, okay? Now, conscious commerce is becoming a huge trend for 2020. And the reason for that is because a lot of people are now looking for brands that are actually serving a bigger cause than just their own personal profits. So when it comes to building your brand, make sure that you are building it around a cause, because that is the easiest way that you can go ahead and differentiate yourself from all the competitors that are only focused on their personal bottom line profits. So whatever your brand is, whatever niche, whatever market you're in, you can always find a great cause to support. And you don't have to donate 100% of your profits. It could be, just a few percentage points, 2.5%, 3%. It could be whatever amount you want it to be, but as long as you're supporting a bigger cause than just your own personal profits, it's going to incentivize a lot of people, especially millennials in today's market, to buy from you rather than the competitors, for the simple fact that they know that their dollars are going to go to a better cost as well. Again, not all of their dollars, but at least a portion of the dollars is going to go towards a good cause. Now, the seventh tip that I want to go ahead and share with you is something that we've been personally neglecting for a while now, but we realized that in 2020, it is going to be one of our main pillars for our e-commerce brands. And that is blogs. That is content marketing, okay? There used to be a point in time where all you had to do was just launch an ad, target the ideal customer, and they are more than happy to just go to your website and buy. But nowadays, people are being overwhelmed with options, with different brands. There's so much noise out there. So the easiest way to establish yourself as an expert in your market, in your niche, is to provide content, to provide experiences and stories and tips and ebooks to be able to establish yourselves as an actual authoritative brand, okay? So it's as easy as really just understanding everything there is to know about your market and niche. So it's not gonna be something overnight. And as a matter of fact, it's a great thing that it can't be created overnight because, well, again, it's a great way to separate yourself from all the overnight drop shippers that come in and go. And that's a way to get your foothold in the market and establish yourself as an expert. And again, people are looking for more than just products, more than just a great price, more than just a great logo and brand. They are looking for a brand and a company that they can trust that provides them with more value than just, again, a great price or a great product, okay? So you can take a look at Sephora, for example. They have a whole community chat where they bring on beauty experts to share different blogs and different products and different techniques for makeup, etc., etc. And you don't have to go all the way to the extent that Sephora is doing it, but you definitely want to be posting some sort of content and providing some sort of value up front before going ahead and just trying to sell. Okay, so with that being said, now that we provided you with some value here, if you want to go ahead and learn how to build your own brand in 2020, everything to know from A to Z as we hold your hand, make sure to check out the e-commerce accelerator. Okay, more than just a course, it's a community. It is guidance. It is mentorship from us personally, guiding you towards the road of building your own micro brand that is sustainable and, more importantly, scalable for the long term. 75% off flash sale, 5 spots only every single video, so make sure you grab yours before they fill up. Go ahead and click that link below. And also, make sure you leave a thumbs up, make sure you leave a comment and subscribe. And leave a comment with your biggest takeaway, more importantly. Okay, let's get the comments a little bit popping, a little bit lit, and let's get some feedback from these tips that you've heard here. Again, I know there's not a lot of other people out there, especially in the e-commerce space, talking about branding, and definitely not to this extent as we're covering here. And 100% I can guarantee nowhere near how deep we go into it in the e-commerce accelerator. So check that out below, and I look forward to seeing you there. Peace.